This is a Star Wars Action News Hypercast.
Hey everybody, Andrew here, and I'm back for another Mandalorian Monday. Now, as you recall last week, I wasn't sure if my shipment of Mandalorian figures were going to arrive. I'm happy to say that they did. I got 3 more in the mail, and so today we're going to continue on, but this time we're going to actually step away from Boba Fett, since we've had 3 weeks of him already, and we're going to look at something that is, it's new, but it's not new. This is, again, we're back to repaints. We're going to be talking about the Remnant Stormtrooper figure. This is technically from The Mandalorian. It was advertised as such, so we're going to start off with this one and see if there's any differences from the most recent Stormtrooper that came out. This is the, if you don't count the Han and Luke in Stormtrooper gear, this is the 13th iteration of the classic Stormtrooper that Hot Toys has done. If that's, if you include the Sand Trooper, the Space Trooper, all of those variations of the classic original trilogy Stormtrooper. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one fares to that, all those previous ones, what we think. All right, we are regretfully back to the standard Hot Toys packaging for Star Wars, having the break from it with the Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett in the vintage style packaging. So we're back to the standard black with just a small photo on the front. However, this does have, they started doing this a little while ago with some of them, having this band go around, which is nice. It gives it a splash of color, but nothing too exciting really. So there we have it. It's got some stuff on the side. Oh, let me show you this side. It's got the cutout of the figure there. So again, a nice little detail, but nothing too exciting. Again, this is kind of a repaint of the classic Stormtrooper. All right. And you'll see here why. It's technically is a repaint. A lot of the Stormtroopers don't really consider it to be repaints because it's just white armor. But here, there's lots of marking you can see in this nice photo. Lots of battles that these guys have been through and have not been able to polish their armor. And there we have it. Looks really grungy. Really grimy. Which is the way you'd want it if you were one of the Remnant Stormtroopers. Really fits in with the style of the show, since it is so kind of grimy, gritty. So right off the bat, I see that there are a lot of similarities to what we've seen before. We've got standard hands, 5 of them. We've got the trigger finger, of course. We've got the fists. We've got left-handed trigger finger, and we've got the stop in the name of love open hand. And the figure himself. Here he is. Definitely a dirty looking figure. Definitely needs to shine up his armor. However, I will say, first thing I notice is that while he does have a lot of paint scuffs on it, a lot of detail in the paint apps for that, I will say that it is still shiny. It is very shiny, as you can probably tell from the lighting reflecting off of his armor. Very shiny. I kind of wish they would have actually scuffed up the the armor and not had it quite so shiny. Kind of takes away from the overall effect of it being dirty and grungy. I don't know. That's interesting. The other thing I noticed is that the canister on the back is actually firmly attached to the belt. It is no longer a clip that you would put on like the other Stormtroopers have been. And the belt is different. Solid plastic. It doesn't have that cloth that you have to go around and Velcro in the back. That's kind of nice. That's a nice little change. I know those canisters really like to fall off. Articulation seems to be very standard for the Stormtrooper. Again, the real test is how close to a T can you make his arms. Not very. Again, that's probably very realistic with the real Stormtrooper armor. If you were to wear some, you probably wouldn't be able to lift your hands up too high to the side. But they do come around forward pretty well. They do come around back. You can kind of leverage them to do that. I'm going to guess that this is most similar to the redesign of the Stormtrooper figure that they did about a year ago with better articulation, better flexibility. What else have we got? We've got the standard blaster rifle that all the Stormtroopers have come with. And it's got the fold-out armrest, so you could always have them use it that way, even though you never see that in the movies. That is an option. I always do like that little detail that they have. Okay. And it comes with a second blaster pistol, which I believe we first saw with Rogue One with K2SO. I think this is the same blaster that he used in the movie and that his figure came with. That's really it. That's all that you really get. There is, of course, a stand with a very standard base. Nothing too exciting there. Yeah, very plain. And that's it. Very, very standard. I will say my first impression is I like the paint, but I don't like the sheen. Where there is no paint, it is clean armor. And that really kind of takes away from the effect I think they were really going for on this one. They wanted it to look like it was well used, well worn, not well kept up, but it still looks like this Stormtrooper took care to polish between the scuff marks, which really, yeah, it just kind of takes away from the overall effect. Other than that, it looks good. I like that the canister is firmly attached to the belt. Let's go ahead and pull out the last iteration of the Stormtrooper that they did, and we'll see how those compare. And see which we think is better. All right, so here we have the two figures. Very, very similar. Again, the biggest difference is probably the belt. The new one, the Remnant, has a solid piece of plastic all the way around, almost as though it were made out of the same armor, whereas the previous iteration that they did has a fabric back to it that goes around, Velcro's in the back, and of course that canister clips on, which has always kind of annoyed me because when you're putting it on, those metal clips that go on the belt tend to kind of rub up against the back plastic of that armor and kind of can kind of scratch it a little bit. So I like that that they fixed that with this one. The other difference, of course, is that with that change of belt, I didn't realize this when I first took him out, but the Remnant Stormtrooper has no holster. There's no place to put his blaster rifle. I'd have to go back to the show and see if that is accurate, if that's screen accurate to what we see in The Mandalorian. I'm going to guess that it is. I don't know why they would take it away unless they were using source material to base it on. But that's different. The blaster is actually a little different. There is an additional piece right here on the side on the Remnant Stormtrooper that is not here. It's almost like an additional scope, some sort of, I don't know, a little greebly, as they say, here on the side, which is different. Other than that, I'm pretty sure that all of the pieces are the same. There's a lot of reused mold. The back is a little bit different now that I'm really looking at it. This one is very smooth, a smooth transition between the flat part of the back and this part with the circle and the two lines, whereas this one is very angular. It's got a little divot cut out here on the top, and there are a lot of right angles. It doesn't swoop like the last one does. Any other changes that jump out at me? I don't think so. The back here, again, very angular, whereas on this one it's a lot less pronounced, that accent there that pops out. There is some differences in the abdomen part too. There's a lot more differences here than I first thought. Again, here it's pretty flat. It does pop out a little bit. Those little details there, right above the waist. And this one is a lot more pronounced. Of course, you can also see it a lot better because of the wash that they put on it. It makes it a little bit grimier. But it's also a different pattern. On this one, the ribs are on the figure's right, and the dots are on the left, whereas on this one, the dots are on the right and the ribs are on the left. So there are definitely some sculpting variances, which really kind of surprises me. I'm not entirely sure why they would do that, again, unless they've got screen accurate source material that they're pulling from to make those changes. That's interesting. I'm impressed that they didn't just do a straight up repaint. So kudos to Hot Toys for going that extra mile, if in fact it is more screen accurate. So those are the two figures side by side. If I were to pick my favorite, I would probably go with the latest iteration of the plain Stormtrooper. I believe it was, they're saying that it was the Return of the Jedi Stormtrooper. I like that it is shiny throughout. I like that it's got the holster, so you can put his sidearm down if you prefer to have him displayed that way. And really, the shininess of the Remnant takes away from the overall effect that they were going for. The other thing to note is that the Return of the Jedi Stormtrooper came with a much cooler display than what the Remnant Stormtrooper came with. So I think I would definitely pick up the Return of the Jedi version, which is the most recent other than the Remnant that they've done, if I had to choose one or the other. So, all right, well, that's it for this Mandalorian Monday. Next week, I've got another trooper, but it's a little bit more interesting. I'm really looking forward to opening that one up for you. So until then, keep watching the Mandalorian Monday and look for our video next week. See you guys.
Thanks for watching. Please check out some of our other videos, and you can hear hundreds of Star Wars collecting podcasts and see photo galleries at our site, swactionnews.com.